get started on a recording, share my screen, jump into a terminal here. We're going to create a new project. So let's just say make dir nested demo. And then let's open that up in code. Demo. All right, so we're going to kind of pretend like this is a full stack MERN project, but really what we're going to be doing is back-endy stuff here because, you know, obviously this is dealing with our database. The front end stuff, we've done a lot with that, but let's see if we can get the back end going on. So we're going to create another folder like we usually do, right, with our server stuff inside of it. And then inside there, we'll have our config folder. And then what were the other ones that we needed? We needed controllers, right?
Models,
routes, all kinds of stuff. All right. And then let's open up a terminal here so that we can install the things that we need. What do you guys think that we're going to need here?
package.json.
Let's say that again.
Package.json.
Oh yeah, so if we want to get a package.json, we could do npm init and then do -y, right? Cool. That created our package.json. Then if I want to install my dependencies, let's say I will install Express, right? And also Mongoose. Okay, cool. And while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and create our oh shoot, I think I did this in the wrong place. I'm going to move a couple things around. We'll move these inside the server folder.
Yeah.
So that way it kind of appears that this is just our server project, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then let's, we can cd into that. All right, so let's create our actual file for this. Server.js. Okay, what do I want to do inside server.js, everyone? Anyone remember?
Import Express.
That would be good.
Require.
Oh, I guess I can't do it with my shortcut. What a bummer. Express. Okay, cool. And then I also need to create my app, right? So we'll say app equals invoke express. Okay, and then at the very bottom, we'll say app.listen. Just pick a port. Okay. And then what else am I going to want to do with my app? This is like aside from any routing or anything.
App.use.
Yeah, because I want to make sure that I have access to any form data that gets passed along to me, right?
Yeah.
So app.use, and we're going to say express.json. So that'll give us access to the rec.body whenever we pass through JSON data, right? Cool. All right. That's in pretty good shape. So I think we're good there. Let's just get it running so that we can make sure we don't trigger any errors here. So we'll say nodemon server.js. All right. Everything's working according to plan. Let's open up our models here. And we're going to create a new model. Let's say this is our user model. And I'll make it a little bit simpler probably than we made our users before because we're just demonstrating nested documents here, right? Okay, so what do I need to bring into this model?
Require Mongoose.
Yeah, Mongoose. Okay, and then let's create a schema here. So we'll say const user schema new schema. Okay, and so inside here, let's just say that we've got a name. We'll say that's type string required. Please enter a. Okay. Cool. And then we'll have something else here. We'll say favorite movies. Okay. This is going to be an array of movies, and it's going to be nested. So, of course, we're talking about nested documents here. Let me add my timestamps here. Okay. So if I want to nest another schema inside there, what I can do is I can actually create that schema up here, right? To kind of keep these things a little bit clear. So we'll say movie schema new mongoose.schema. Okay. Title type string.
Marley, is it better to create a schema and if you have like two schemas, is it better to have them in separate files?
Yeah, we could do that if we want. The reason why I'm kind of keeping them in one is because we're not really going to have a situation where we can just pull all of our movies in one shot. Our movies are going to be sort of inextricably linked to users.
Okay.
Which is a little bit different than kind of how we've been doing things in SQL, right? In SQL, we would definitely have our own table for these movies.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So let's say we got a title. I don't know. I'm probably just going to leave it at that because I don't want to sort of emphasize the field part of this. So we can have timestamps here if we want. Right? Okay. And then here inside of our favorite movies, let's just say this is going to be an array of movie schema. All right, we've got this schema up here, and then we are now nesting this inside here. So I'm not going to create an actual movie model. I'm just going to create my user model. Okay, so we'll say const user equals mongoose.model user schema. Okay, and then we want to obviously export this user from here too. There's more than one way to export it, but let's just say module.exports equals user. All right, that looks pretty good, right? Now let's create our config file for Mongoose so that that's actually up and running. We'll call that Mongoose. Okay, and then inside here, I'm going to need Mongoose, of course. And we're going to want to connect, right? So our connection string, DB, and then the name of our database, we'll just call this nested. Okay, we'll have this options argument where we can clear some deprecation warnings. So use new URL parser, I believe is one of them. And then there's this unified topology. What else? Use find and modify, I think I usually end up needing. Okay, so that's good. Now we can require this inside of our server.js, right? Inside, whoops, I didn't mean a double dot. Config, Mongoose. Okay, cool. So we are indeed connecting here. We have no issues there. I've got my user model. Let's get inside this controllers folder and maybe create a user's controller, right? So we'll say users.controller. Okay, what do I need to bring into this file?
Model.
Yeah, I got to bring in that user model, right? So user equals require, and we're going to go up one level into our models and grab user.model. Okay, and then I'm going to create an object. I'm basically going to export here an object which has all of our methods inside of it. So to keep this simple, let's just create a, well, let's create maybe a couple things. We'll be able to create a user and then we'll be able to get all users. Seems simple enough, right? Okay, so create, it's going to take in request and response. And I'm going to say user.create rec.body, returning what, guys?
A promise.
Nice. So user, and then let's just res.json user. Something goes wrong. Maybe attach a status to it too. You want, right? Okay, and then let's also create a, we'll just call it an index method that's going to get all of our users. So we'll say user.find, returning a promise. So we got users, res.json users. I'll leave off the .catch probably because I don't, trying to keep it kind of simple here. I don't need the request here, so I'll just underscore that as a placeholder. Okay. And now finally, we need to create a routes file, right? So we'll have user.routes. Okay, my user's routes needs what now?
Controller.
My controllers. So we'll say users CTL equals wire. Okay, and what were we going to export from this guy?
The controller.
Function.
What was it?
A function. Yeah, we're going to export a function, right? So we'll say module.exports equals a function that takes in an application. And here's where I'm going to apply my routes, right? So I can say app.post API/users. I'm going to do users ctl.create. Okay, and then we'll also have an app.get where we're doing API/users ctl.index. Looks pretty good, right? So let's wire this up. Let's connect these routes here to our server.js. I'm going to say user routes equals require. I'm going to go into my routes folder and get users.routes. Okay, and to apply that, what we need to do is we just need to invoke this function against our app, right? Okay, nothing has crashed yet, so we're in pretty good shape. Let's go to Postman and test this out. I'll create a new request. we'll just do the GET request for now. So localhost 4000. Okay, I've got an empty array, so that's what I would expect. I haven't created a user yet. So let's make one. So our user is just going to have a name. Change this to a post request. My body is going to be raw JSON. Okay, and we'll say name. Let's see if we can create myself. Cool, I created myself and notice that we have this empty array for movies. So that's fair enough. All right, so everything's working in that respect, and I have an ID here of a person that I can find. Well, now we probably want to set up some routes where we can add and maybe delete movies, right? So let's go back here, and in addition to my, well, let's see, where do we want to put this? Controllers. Let's just create maybe a new controller. We'll call this movies.controller.js. Okay. So in our movies controller, we know we're going to export an object again that's going to have these different methods, right? So let's say we'll have a create a movie, take in a request and a response. What else do we want to be able to do? Delete one. Okay, cool. Now remember, I told you we don't actually have a movie model. So what model are we probably going to be working off of here?
User.
The user model. So let's bring that in. So let's say user equals require okay. So if I'm creating a movie, I need to actually associate this with a particular user, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say user dot find by ID and update.
Okay.
Okay, so this means that we're going to update this particular user by pushing in a new movie object to that array, right? Okay, so the first thing that we need to pass this is going to be what, guys?
ID.
ID.
It's going to need to be the ID. So we'll say, I'm going to say rec.params, and we're going to end up calling this user ID so that we're kind of a little bit more explicit about it. And then the update is how do I actually want to change this document? So what I want to do is I want to push, right? And then we'll say into our favorite movies, I'm going to push rec.body. All right, so that's the second argument. Then the third argument should be what, guys?
New is true or?
Yeah, we do want to say that. I usually like to specify that new is true. I don't want to see the old document. And then what's the other thing? Francis, what's the other thing? Are you dropping it in the chat? I can't see the chat right now for some reason.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's
No,
okay.
require validation.
Yeah, we want to run those validators, right?
Or yeah, require validator.
Run validator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do not forget about this because we ran into a situation last night where that was important, right?
Yeah.
think I have some extra curly braces, so let me get rid of those. Okay, all right. So we're pushing into our favorite movies array, the rec.body, which should ultimately create this new favorite movie for us. All right, and what is this guy going to return?
Promise.
Promise. Okay, so we're gonna get back the user, and we can send the information about the user here. Dot catch, maybe our validations failed or something like that, so just do the usual stuff, status 100.json there. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's save this, and then let's hop over in our routes here and see if we can add another route for this. So I'm going to bring in my movies CTL, acquire that, rollers, oops, dot movies. Okay, and then let's create some more routes here. So we'll say, I'm just going to put them up here. So we'll say an app.post. If we get a request that goes to API/users/a particular user ID /movies, we want to run movies CTL.create, right? Module not found. What did I do? Oh, I see what I did. Should be movies.controller. Okay, good. Still cool. So let's go back to Postman and let's see if we can create a new movie. I'm going to grab this user ID right here. Create a new post request. We'll say localhost API users to movies, right? Okay, body, raw, JSON. Okay, what is the title? This came up today in our game playing. It was an old favorite of mine, Shawshank Redemption.
You messed up on that one, Morley.
I was gonna say I still got the question wrong. I'm so embarrassed about that. Terrible. All right, so let's try sending this through. Cool, so we got back our whole user object, right? And you can see that inside my favorite movies, I've got this movie now. And it added the timestamps and gave me an ID, right? Pretty cool. Right on. Yes, question? Oh, was that a thumbs up? All right, nice. I wasn't sure. Okay, so let's go back to our movies controller. Maybe we want to be able to delete a movie. So again, same kind of thing here. We're going to end up modifying the user itself. So find by ID and update there. And again, I've got to get that ID out of the rec.params, right? Rec.params.user ID. Okay. And then the next thing is going to be, what is our operation? Well, in this case, we're going to say we want to pull. Okay, what do I want to pull? Well, I want to pull a movie by ID, so I'm going to say something like this. Oops. Where underscore ID is going to equal rec.params.movie ID. Okay. Now, I do still want to see the updated document, so I am going to pass this third options argument where we say new is true. Because it would be kind of lame if I got back the user and I was like, wait, that movie is still in there, right? That wouldn't be so great. So same thing, this is returning us a promise, and I'm just gonna grab this up here. Pretty much exactly what we need. Okay, cool. So we're good to go. Let's go back to our routes and drop that one in as well. So we'll do a delete request to API/users/user ID/movies/movie ID. Okay. You guys can see why hopefully it sort of makes sense why I have two of these params in here. Because number one, I need to be able to get the user by ID in order to update that user. And number two, I need to get the actual movie that I'm trying to remove from that array, right? Okay, so we'll say movies ctl.delete. Okay, let's try to give this a shot. I'm going to make a delete request, and then I'm just going to grab this ID in here. Go like that, right? Add value. What did I do? I probably did something wrong. Yeah, hang on a second. Movies controller. Okay, so pull, I actually want to pull from favorite movies where ID equals this thing, right? So you can see how even though we're not using SQL here, it almost helps you to vocalize what's going on. I'm going to pull from favorite movies where the ID equals that thing. And let's try that one more time. Cool. So now our favorite movies array has been emptied out again, right? Anything else you guys want to do with nested documents?
It is one-to-many relationship.
Yeah, this is a one-to-many, right? Yeah, and as I was saying earlier today, if you get into a situation where you're trying to model a many-to-many and you're trying to do that with NoSQL, chances are you're probably using the wrong kind of database. Not that it's impossible, it's just that's not what NoSQL shines with. You guys feel pretty good about this? You want to just kind of go through the code a little bit? All right, let's just browse through our code and make sure that we know what's going on. I'm going to go like that there. All right. Let's go into this user's model. Okay, Prativa, what's going on here?
Okay, in our user model, we are creating a schema for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And inside the schema, we are declaring the feature of the movie. The movie will have the title, and the title will have type string, and the title will be the required field. If it is not filled, then the required and the array inside the array true is representing that it should be entered, and if it's not provided, then it will give the error message, please enter a title.
Very good. Yeah, so these guys are called fields, these things that just look like keys inside the object. So that's a field. And then this is our custom validation message, because we don't want to just give back the user, the standard Mongoose errors. We want it to be customized.
Yeah, and timestamps is for created at and updated at.
Yep, exactly. That way we don't even have to worry about it. Cool. All right, Aya, take us through the user schema.
You created a const variable user schema, and then you're calling a new Mongoose schema class. So you're creating a new one. And then in the as the argument, you're passing in an object, and the first attribute is called name, and its value is an object.
So again, this is called a field. We have a named field.
Yeah, the field. And then for the name field, the type is declared as a string. And then it's going to be required when making the user. So there's a custom validation if the if it's not inputted. And then the second field of the user schema is favorite movies. And it's going to be an array of movie schemas. And then the second argument that's passed in is the object, is another object. And then within that is a key called timestamps, and it's set to true. So it's gonna create the created at and updated at fields.
Good. And then what are we doing down here?
We're making it into a model. We're calling them. I don't really know what this does.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So when we call the model function that Mongoose gives us, it's basically registering that model with Mongoose.
Okay.
And it's also giving it back to us as a return value. That's how we can set a const variable to it right here.
Okay.
Good.
So if we had the schemas on two separate files, and we wanted to do the same exact thing where we put the movie schema in the user schema, say like we want to import the movie schema into this file.
Yeah.
We're exporting movie schema from its own file. Would we not do this model thing where we like change it into a model and just export the schema, or would we make it into a model and then export that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We wouldn't need to make it into a model. We would simply export the the movie
schema.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. Cool. All right, so let's jump over to the movies controller. So I think this is where most of the action is taking place. Lawrence, take us through the create method.
So the create method, in the create method, we have request and response.
Good.
And the first method, we use the function users find by ID and update function. And in this function, we first parameters, we pass in the ID. The second parameters, we pass in first parameter, we push the new data inside.
So this is kind of tough to look at, but the second argument here is us creating a new object, right? So from lines 7 to 11, we're creating an object, and then inside that, we have a key called $push. And that's one of those operators that Mongoose gives us. It means we want to put something inside of a field. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying inside this object that I provided to push, I'm saying I want to add something to my favorite movies array.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be the rec.body because the rec.body just has all the information I need, which in this case was only a title, right?
Mm. Okay. So after this, after we create this new object, we're gonna do the third parameters, which gonna be like set is new to be true, means accept a new one, and the run validator means like we're gonna run the validations we have.
Yeah, because otherwise, if I'm trying to add a new movie and I don't provide a title, without line 14, it should allow me to do it, which I don't want it to, right?
Mm,
So we still want to run validations even though we're updating a document. That's what that's saying.
okay.
Okay, cool. The new true, I think you said accept a new document. This just means that when this operation is complete inside of our .then, this user right here will be the updated user, not the old one.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the Mongoose defaults I find to be a little bit odd. You know, like why would you pass back the old document, or why would you not run validators? But it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why they made that choice, really.
So when we update or create, we always put new there. But I remember when we create, we don't put new, right?
Well, you don't have to say that with create, because create is automatically going to give you back the new document. There's no old document to give you, right? It's brand new.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that means like this called create, but actually it kind of just like add inside.
Well, it's doing both of those things, right? We are creating a new movie and we're pushing it into that favorite movies array. So we're kind of doing two things at once.
So if we want to do the update, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna still use find by ID and update.
Yeah, I thought somebody might ask about update, and so I did a little bit of digging into that to see how you would actually do it. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but we can write it out. Update rec and res. Okay, so same thing here. We're gonna do user.find by ID and update. Okay, we still want to get the rec.params.user ID. Okay, and then in looking at the docs here, hang on a second. Dang it. Wrong spot. Okay, so if you look at the docs, they'll tell you how to do this. Basically, we need to specify what is the thing that we're updating, of course, as the first argument. And then the second thing, we're going to use this set operator. So let's let's see how we can do this. STD. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, isn't that kind of nasty?
What does that mean?
And I mean, and this part of the reason why I was kind of trying to avoid this is because I think this is going to be more confusing than it is helpful. Just know that on the exam, you guys won't have to update nested documents. If I were to give you a nested document exam, which I don't plan to do.
Okay. Yeah, this, I don't know, takes a while.
Yeah, so we would have to set favorite movies $.s. What is this STD? Oh, that's the field on the first element that matches that. Wait. Oh, I got it. So
grade is the grade 80. Okay. And STD is 8. Okay. Oh.
Okay, so let's try this. I think I see how we're going to want to do it. It was just a little bit confusing to look at. So instead of find by ID and update, we'll say
Update 1.
update 1. Okay. And then the one that we're looking for is going to have an ID of rec.params.user_ID. And then what's the other thing? We also need to specify what the condition is of that movie. So we'll say hopefully I'm reading this right. It's something like this. Favorite movies
Dot title.
underscore ID
Hmm.
is going to be rec.params.movie ID. Does that look right?
Mhm.
Correct.
And then we're basically going to set
Set the value to
each
new
to
one.
whatever we get. Okay, let's try that.
So come on.
This is our update document here. Set. We want to set the title to rec.body.title, right? Does that look about right?
What does their dollar sign mean?
Yeah, they had the dollar STD. What is that?
STD is like this title.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
don't we need to have dollar dot?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Grace, so STD. Oh, I got it. Okay. So then this is going to be favorite movies. And then the dollar is saying this particular favorite movie, right? Title?
Mhm.
Does that look right?
Oh.
All right. Let's grab this too. All right, and then let's wire that up in the routes. So we'll do app.split request user ID. Can someone tell me what's showing up in the chat? Because I just have a bunch of stuff on my screen right now.
Francis is asking, wait, one second. She is asking, do you also need the new true and run validators there?
I'm not entirely sure, to be quite frank with you. So I don't know. I was thinking let's just try it without it first and see if we run into any problems. So movie CTL update, right?
Well, since it's an update, then maybe
Movie, yeah. Now I'm gonna say I feel like
because you have to still return the new movie or
Well,
the updated.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm not sure is because I don't usually use this update one method. I always use the find by ID and update,
okay.
which does definitely require that. I don't know if this one does.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Find and modify. Okay. All right, so let's create a new movie. It's out of here. Go back, do a post request to movies. Shoot, get out of there. Okay, and then in our body we had Shawshank Redemption. So let's just do that. Cool, we created it. Now we have an ID for this movie, right? Take that. And then I'll create a put request. I'll come back and get that ID right there. Let's get our user ID as well because we need that. Okay, and then in my body, let's just change the title. Some new title.
Yay.
Oh, yay.
Said something was modified, it just didn't show us how, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. So if I go and we'll do one more GET request to get all our users. We'll just make sure that that got changed. 1,000 API users. Sweet.
Yay.
Oh.
Yay.
Updated.
Yay.
That was a fun little adventure we took, right?
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Did it only return the whole status of like, oh, one got modified? Is
Yeah,
instead
wasn't
of like returning the actual title because of,
I know, wasn't that kind of odd?
is it because that we didn't have the new true, or is it for other reasons?
Well, usually if you don't have the new true, it will just return you the old document. This didn't return us a document at all. So I don't know.
Mhm.
That might be something that you guys can play around with if if you're trying to use nested documents for a project or something like that. But like I said, it's not going to come into play as far as the test goes.
Okay.
And it's also kind of one of those things too. If you find yourself nesting documents a lot, may mean that you're better off with a SQL type of database, right? All right, so let's quickly go through our delete, and then I think we'll be done. Here, Francis, give us delete.
Okay, so we have the delete function that takes in the request and response, and then inside of that we have the user model and the find by ID and update function. And we will pass in the rec.params.userid to get the specific ID of the user of which we're deleting that movie from their ID. And then we are also doing this, we're also passing in this, or we're creating this object.
You can think of this as our update object. So how are we changing the user essentially?
Okay. And then we have the key $pull, which is essentially like a pop method, I suppose.
Yeah, except that with pop, we're only getting the very last thing in an array.
Oh,
In this case, we're trying to
pull
target.
is more specific.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in that is another object, the key favorite movies. And then inside that is where we're getting the specific ID of that movie that we want to pull.
Yeah, so if we were to kind of put this into English, we might say something like, we're modifying a user by pulling from the favorite movies in an array a movie that has an ID that's equal to the rec.params.movie ID. You see, sort of like each new level of object nesting is another statement almost.
Yeah. Okay. And then in line 48, we're just gonna be returning the updated object or the updated user with an
This will be
updated
the
movie.
updated user. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good. All right, and then this stuff down here, we don't really need to go through that. You guys are pretty comfortable with this now. Excellent. All right, cool. I feel like we all kind of learned a little something here, so I'm pretty happy with this. Yeah, claps all around. Any questions before I let you guys kind of get back to your assignments and things?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of upset that Albert's not here, though. I mean, that's just...
I know.
I messaged him. I told him you were looking for him.
I don't understand. You ask for
I
something.
can
Oh, shit. And I swear,
Awesome.
hasn't he been to every other session that we've had too? Like this is the one thing he misses.
Except for the one that he requested.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like next time I'll think twice, but granting him his request.